Okay, so we're going to be replacing the pump on this Toronto Spa here. First thing you want to notice is the front control access panel. This is what you want to start with. This is directly below the control top side. Your left panel, middle panel, right panel we're going to take off so you can get access to your control pack, the wires in case there's any zip ties holding it in place, and then the pump over here. Now we got access to the control pack here. We're going to take off the front plate, these two screws at the top. This front plate will have the wiring diagram, which will show you where all of the components are. What we're looking for here is pump 1. Pump 1 is right here at J8, which you'll notice on the board is right here. This is a quick disconnect, so we're going to pinch it from the bottom, the top, and pull it out. It's also connected with a strain relief here on the side, so we're going to loosen that. This piece will come out, put it off to the side. Now your pump will come out. Cord, we just now need to remove any zip ties. Careful not to cut any of the cords. Okay, so now you can follow this cord all the way back to the pump. So you also want to notice where the slice valves are. There's one here directly to the right of the pack, and there's one over here directly above the pump. And when you're taking off the slice valves, make sure you pull out the clip, line your tab here up with the slot in the bottom of the valve, push down, and make sure the tab goes into the slot, push and turn. So it's parallel with the actual valve itself. So that's that one here. The same procedure over on this one. Pull the tab out, the clip out, line the tab up with the slot, push and turn so it's parallel and it's nice and snug. After the slice valves, you want to loosen up the union at the intake the discharge and the intake. This will be hand threaded on. Loosen up. You might have a bit of water coming out depending on if your saw has water left in it or not. There might be some leftover water in the plumbing, but because we've shut the slice valves off, you're not going to have the tub leak. And loosen the one in the intake. These come off. Careful, there is gasket in here that you don't want to lose. It sits directly inside the plumbing. Okay. And once those have been loosened off, you take off the nuts on the bolt of the pump bolts here. So these themselves, you can use. This is the number 13 here to loosen these out. There will be 4 of these. These have already been pre-loosened. And washer. And there'll be 2 on the back as well that you're going to want to loosen and take off. There's one. there's two. All right, so now we're going to take the actual pump out that we have now they have the nuts out. The wire for the audio might be in the way, at which point I'll just pull out here and put this off to the side, put that back in after. So you're going to need to slide the intake and the discharge pipes a little bit out of the way here to be able to pull the pump out. See, here's the gaskets come out here. Just make sure you don't lose that. Slide this one out of the way, and then I'm going to reach in from the bottom and lift it up off the bolts and rotate it towards me. And before I take the whole thing out, there is a grounding wire here on the back. You need a flathead on to loosen and remove. And proceed with taking out the remaining of the pump. Put it off to the side. And we've got the pump removed. All right, now we're going to take our replacement pump here. We're going to put this one in. First, you want to make sure this gasket's coming out. You want to make sure the gasket goes in properly here. So the gasket itself has one ribbed side. You got that? And a flat side. You want the ribbed side facing up, directly under here. So I'm going to put the rib side in here, and that will hold that one up. And just like on the intake here, the rib side will be facing in. You always want the rib side facing the actual plumbing itself. So I'm going to try to put the pump back in. See, it's popped up. We'll put that back in after. Before I put it all the way back in, you gotta make sure you do ground wire. Just back into the back, put that back in. Tighten that up nice and snug. Make sure that the nuts or the bolts line up in the proper spot on the pump base, like that. It's all lined up properly. And now we're going to put the gaskets back in place. So we're doing this. Again, the rib side, inside of the plumbing. Line that up there. I'm going to loose fit this on just to hold it in place. And I'm going to put this one back in up top. Make sure your gasket is flush, touching the entire top of the discharge. Make sure you look all the way around. So this is actually flush, it's not pinched on any side at the back. Lift it up and push it in place if you need to, because that's what's going to create a leak. So now that that's nice and flush all the way around, we can tighten the union back up. It's a little bit of adjustment, there you go. So it's going on nice and easy now. This means that it's not cross-threaded. It's very important when you're putting this on. If this is cross-threaded, it's going to leak. So you can tighten that up there, hand tighten that there, along with the intake. And just hand tighten is good. Your washers and nuts. On there, and the second one on as well. A little bit front. Wrench, getting those in there snug. And at the back. There you go. And get your cord back through. Now that we got the pump cable fed through, you can line this back up, and the pump number 1 slot, if you get stuck, look at your wiring diagram. It says pump 1 here. This only goes in a certain way. Flat side you gotta line up. Make sure it clicks and snug, and you can pull a little tug on the cord just to make sure that, not on the cord itself, but the connector, just to make sure it's in there nice and tight. And line these back up. Put strain relief to go back in place. Missed that there. These are nice and snug in place here. That's in there. We put the cover back on. Okay. Slice valves, you want to lift these back up, so rotate it so it's perpendicular, and then lift it back up. Put the clips back in place. Again, there are 2 slice valves, so that's not going to go down. And you get the one over here at the pump. Then rotate, pull out, clip in place, and that's snug. When we put the panel on, we took the audio out just to make sure you feed that back in here so you can listen to the music. Final step before you put the panels back on is if your tub still has water in it, you're going to want to bleed it out a little bit here. So you'll loosen the discharge just a little bit, and you'll hear a hissing, and that noise means that there's air being released, and you let about a little trickle of water come out, and that means that you've released all the air, and you can tighten it back up. Make sure you don't have an airlock, and then you can proceed with putting the panels back on.